This is the Louie T Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Louie? Yeah.
Overtime. So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Thursday Night Football Overtime. Bills, Jets, AFC East family business. You know how the family do it, or do you? Because a lot of you didn't see this good old-fashioned, passionate ass whooping and the Bills getting their shoes, coat, and hat taken. You didn't see that coming. So maybe you don't know how the family do it. I, however, saw a semblance of this coming out. I'd be lying to you if I saw this kind of ass whooping of epic proportions coming for the second straight week on Thursday Night Football. I'd be lying to you. I knew the Jets would win this game because I watched the game in week one, and the Jets were in that game, but the Bills were just the better team, and they were at home, and I've said already that these two teams generally don't sweep each other. The Jets have good success versus the Bills. This goes back to when Ryan Fitzpatrick was there with the Jets. They've always had success against this Bills team, even when the Bills were perceived to be good. And I'll take it a step further. The Bills have struggled on the road this year. I told you, both of their losses this season have come on the road. They lost at Cincinnati. They lost at Carolina. And so I knew they could lose at home or on the road versus the Jets. And I watched the Jets last week compete against Atlanta, and I said, this is a much better Jets football team than we have given them credit for this season. And we talked about how bad the roster was going to be. I know I was at the forefront of that discussion, and they're going to be a really bad team, and they're not going to win very many games, and Todd Bowles is going to get fired, and I feel bad for him. And I've watched this team all season long, and I said, man, I had, for the first time, I acknowledged this team has more talent than I wanted to give them credit for. You look at their skill positions. Robbie Anderson, I told you last week versus the Atlanta Falcons, he had a touchdown grab in that game. And besides losing his cool at the end of the Dolphins game, throwing his helmet down, Robbie Anderson is an outstanding football player. They got themselves a gem in Robbie Anderson as an undrafted player out of Temple. He's been outstanding, and he's fast as hell. And that's the one thing you can't teach in this league. And he's been outstanding for them, as it looks like the Bills are going to score a touchdown here with Deontay Thompson. But in any event, I thought the trade for Jermaine Kearse was one of the best trades made in the offseason. I almost am jealous because I'm like, damn, I would have loved if the Redskins to have gotten Jermaine Kearse, because he's everything the Redskins could use at the receiver position. He's big, he's strong, he's physical, he's tough, and he's got great hands. And I think he was hidden out in Seattle. I think Seattle Seahawks fans know just how good Jermaine Kearse can be, but the Jets fans had no idea, and he's been outstanding for them. So they've got a nice little compliment there. And like I said, the resurgence of ASJ at the tight end position has really helped bolster this offense. And then, of course, you can't overlook the fact that Josh McCown, we've seen him do this before. Remember, with Chicago, there was a stretch of football that he was playing that was just out of this world. We've seen him do this before. We know that when he's protected and he's in a groove and he's got targets to get the football to, he can be a quality football player and quarterback in this league. And he's been playing really well for the Jets this year. Hasn't really turned it over. However, did make a mistake in this game that the Bills didn't take advantage of. And we'll talk about all those things when we get into the breakdown. But nonetheless, this Jets team better on offense than we gave them credit for. In the running back position, McGuire is a much better back than I gave him credit for. A lot quicker. Well, I knew he had the quicks. I didn't think he had the speed. I think he has more speed than I gave him credit for. He's a lot quicker than a lot of people gave him credit for coming out of Arkansas State. And he's got the ability to catch it, run it, make guys miss. You just look at what the running back position has to offer with Bilal Powell, who I think is one of the most underrated backs in the entire National Football League, along with Matt Forte. This is a Jets backfield that is loaded, and so they've got a ton of talent on that side of the football. Then you go to the defensive side. Love what they did with the first two picks in the draft, going and attacking the safety position, moving on from Calvin Pryor, and drafting May in the second round, and drafting, the LSU product. out of the LSU product in the first round, Jamal Adams in the first round. And so while the safety position has been fixed, you still need help at corner. That's why they traded for Rashard Robinson. I don't know if he's going to help or not, but Rashard Robinson coming over from San Francisco, going to probably take the place of Roberts, who has struggled this season. Nonetheless, that's a position that can be upgraded, I think, in the offseason. But there's talent in that secondary for sure with Mo Claiborne and those two safeties. Then you turn around and Buster Screen also in the slot. Don't forget him. He's one of your better corners on this football team. Then you get to the linebackers, Demario Davis and I was about to call him Sean Lee. Darren Lee are two of the faster inside linebackers this league has to offer. So when you're talking about speed and guys that can run, chase, tackle, those are two of the better ones in this league. And then you look at the defensive line, and they were dominant tonight with Wilkerson and Williams. That's a group that can get it done up front. And so this is a lot of talent. And I think we underestimated this Jets team, and we understated. And I think the better phrase would be we grossly overestimated how bad this roster was. Grossly overestimated. And they got talent, and they're showing it in this particular football game. And I told you this when I gave you my picks. The Jets are going to win another game, and it's going to be in the division. I don't know how many more games they're going to win. They've been awfully close. I'm starting to think they may win another game or two, and one of them may come outside of the division, but I'm sticking to my guns. I said they're probably not going to win many more games, maybe 1, 2 at max, and it's going to be in the division. And here it is. And if I'm not mistaken, they've played the Dolphins twice already, so they don't get another Dolphins game, and they blew the opportunity to sweep them. They've already played all their home games in the division, so I don't see them going on the road and beating New England, and they've already played Buffalo on the road. So they're done basically with divisional play after tonight, with the exception of one game versus New England, and they're not going to win that game. So I think the Jets might be done for the season winning. We'll see. But this was an impressive win nonetheless, as I'll go ahead and change the score as the Bills were able to put up a touchdown, which is of no consequence, but still, why the hell not? Let's be accurate, right? So, welcome to the program. Thursday night football overtime, family business, AFC East variety, Bills, Jets. If you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting that subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. You guys are like family to me, and this is the fam. Hashtag the fam. And I appreciate every single one of you guys and ladies and gentlemen out there. And so thank you so much for supporting this channel. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content coming down the pipeline. Also, I've got a number of different social media platforms. There's Twitter, which is probably going to be your biggest asset to staying in tune to what's going on this channel, along with Facebook. There's also, along with YouTube. There's Facebook, and there's also Instagram. And you might want to get on that Instagram train, because I'm going to start doing a lot of things on Instagram, and some of them are going to be non-football related. So we have a lot of great discussions late nights on Wednesdays, winners and losers, where we kind of talk about football, but we circle around that conversation with things that have nothing to do with football. And those are also fun conversations. And I want to do something via IG with that. So if you're not already plugged into my Instagram account, you might want to go ahead and do that. Get ahead of that train before it gets moving. But in any event, all the links that I just mentioned, all the different social media platforms that I just mentioned, the links are down in the description below, along with how you can donate to the Louie T Network. These are the two, and the Bills look like they're going to recover an onside kick. Austin Seferian-Jenkins had a chance to recover it, and he just straight up dropped it. But in any event, Patreon and PayPal are your two ways that you can donate to the Louie T Network. So by all means, if you can donate, please do donate to this channel to help further my efforts along and taking the next step to making this channel great and really giving you guys the content that you deserve here on the Louie T Network. So let's break this game down. We'll start with the Jets as they were able to get it done. It's not over yet, and because Austin Seferian-Jenkins didn't catch that onside kick, this score will probably get a little bit closer than it needs to be before it's all said and done. But the Jets are going to hold on. There's not enough time unless they have an absolute epic meltdown, the likes we've never seen before. This game is going to be done. In any event, the Jets dominated this football game just about every way you could dominate it. And in all three facets of the game, they dominated. And that's why right now they're up 34-14 with 4 minutes roughly left in this game. We'll start on the defensive side of the football because to me, that's where this game was won. Almost had a pick there. Roberts dropped a pick just now. But the defense for the Jets tonight was outstanding. They controlled the tempo and pace of this game. They came out and they pretty much set the tone for the game, sacking Tyrod Taylor early on the first possession, stopping the run game of Shady McCoy. And the Bills did assist with penalties and mistakes to help this Jets defense really get some momentum and start to build the confidence that they needed to run away with this game. But that being said, this defense was dominant. And I want to start on the defensive line because the defensive line of this Jets football team was dominant in this game. The first play of the game, Jordan Jenkins, one of the outside linebackers, gets a sack on a bootleg that was set up for Tyrod Taylor to get outside the pocket, and he turns around and Jenkins is in his face, makes the tackle for about a 12-yard loss. And that, like I said, that set the tone for the game. That was a precursor of things to come. I thought Muhammad Wilkerson was dominant. So was Williams, excuse me. And so I thought those guys set the tone along the defensive line. Steve McClendon also helping collapse the pocket. Then you get the linebackers who I thought had a really aggressive game, getting into the backfield, getting to Shady McCoy before he could get going, and getting after Tyrod Taylor. They were very aggressive, were the Jets tonight, coming after Tyrod Taylor in some third and long situations, not allowing him to sit back there and give the receivers time to develop developing routes down the field. They did a really good job of coming after Taylor, making him uncomfortable, getting after him, sacking him. 7 sacks on the night for the Jets in this game. And like I said, they were dominant defensively against the run, which is what the Bills want to do. I've talked about their wide receivers and the lack of weapons. No Charles Clay at the tight end position means that you're going to be limited as to what you can do. That's why the trade for Kelvin Benjamin was going to be such a huge trade, and it sucks that they had a Thursday night game before KB was able to get in there. Had this game been on Sunday, he would have been dressed and ready to rock and roll in this particular game, but because it's a Thursday night game, he just wasn't able to get in there, get any reps, and get familiar with what they were doing. So you'll see him next week, but they could have sure used him tonight because they didn't step up at the skill positions tonight. And with Shady McCoy nursing a sore groin, and he re-aggravated it throughout the game, they were going to struggle. And Zay Jones did look good before his injury. He hyperextended his knee, came back in the game, and then left. But nonetheless, like I said, give credit to this Jets defense. They were outstanding tonight. They created 3 turnovers. The Bills had 3 turnovers all season long, 3 giveaways, and they gave it away 3 times a night, and those were all forced errors by the Jets. 3 fumbles, one by O'Leary, another by Tyrod Taylor, who was hit from behind, didn't see Jordan Jenkins coming from behind to force the fumble. Or O'Leary's one was really freaky because he goes down on the play after making a tremendous catch on a 3rd down, gets up after not being touched. He didn't realize he wasn't touched initially, and then he says, "Oh, I wasn't touched." So he goes and he tries to run for more yardage, and as he's being tackled on the second attempt by him to get more yards, the ball is ripped out by Marcus May, recovered by the other rookie safety. I continue to forget his name. I don't know why. Jamal Adams recovers the fumble. And then the first fumble of the game for the Bills came on, and this is going to be overturned and back to about the half-yard line. The touchdown by Jordan Matthews is not a touchdown. He's going to be down at about the half-yard line here. But in any event, the first fumble was Jordan Matthews. Perfect segue as Matthews looking to extend for a first down, which he was not going to get. Normally, those are situations where the ground can't cause the fumble, but the ball was moving before his elbow hit the ground and dislodged the football fully. So the Bills lost that ball. Jets recovered, and that was the start of this game getting away from the Bills. They needed points at that time, and him fumbling that football right before the half was a backbreaker for the Bills as the game really started to slip away from them at that point. So Jets being opportunistic and the offense taking advantage of these opportunities. Speaking of which, let's talk about the offense for the Jets tonight. I thought they were outstanding. Josh McCown led them on an opening drive touchdown, which set the tone. I talked about the defense setting the tone. Well, the offense got the football first, marched right down the field, and got into the end zone on the opening possession of the game, which I thought set the tone offensively for the Jets. So you go out, you march down the field, you score a touchdown, and then the defense comes out, forces a 3 and out, gets the football back to the offense. I thought it was a great start to the game for this Jets football team on both sides. And the offense really never looked back from that point. Now, the game was pretty tight for much of the first half. At one point, it was 7-7 as the Bills went right back down the field and tied the game up. But credit the Jets. They went right back down the field and got a field goal, took the lead 10-7, and they would never relinquish the lead again in the game. So the offense, they ran it effectively tonight, and I thought they did a really good job of illustrating how this was a role reversal game from week one, where the Bills dominated on the ground and the Jets weren't able to get any semblance of a ground game going. It was the flip side of that in this game. The Bills haven't been able to generate offense on the ground, which is their biggest way of moving the football. And conversely, the Jets have been dominant on the ground. All three of their backs had outstanding nights. Forte scoring a touchdown, also seeing a touchdown scored from I don't know if the rookie scored a touchdown, and I don't know if I think Bilal Powell did get in the end zone on one particular drive, but in any event, Robbie Anderson catches a touchdown pass from McCown. I thought McCown was outstanding in this game. He did have one bad throw, and I'll talk about it when I get to the Bills. But other than that, McCown was outstanding, finding guys, moving the sticks on third downs. They stayed in third and manageable because the run game was so effective. And when they were in third and long, I thought McCown did a good job of finding receivers and moving the sticks. So offensively, you saw what this Jets football team could be tonight because they have a lot of talent. I think, like I said earlier, we grossly underestimated the level of talent that this Jets football team has, especially on the offensive side. I think we all thought that they had some defensive talent. But offensively, I think we went into the season just assuming, oh, bad football team, same as last year. You lose Marshall, you lose Decker, you're going to get worse via all those guys no longer being on the team. But I think they actually added talent, addition by subtraction. And looks like this one might be offsides, but the Jets just got a sack after the touchdown was overturned. We'll see what the penalty flag is. But nonetheless, I thought the Jets were outstanding on offense and defense. And then to make matters worse for the Bills, they were also dominated on special teams because for the vast majority of the night, the Bills were starting deep in their own territory. And give Lachlan Edwards some credit for being able to punt the football and pin the Bills deep in their own territory for the vast majority of the night. The Bills had horrible field position throughout this game, and it really cost them when it was all said and done. Because that, like they talked about during the telecast, this isn't a Bills Bills offense that is really adept at moving the football down the field from long distances because they lack dynamic playmakers outside of Shady McCoy, Tyrod Taylor. This offense lacks dynamic playmakers. And so that's why a guy like Kelvin Benjamin coming into this offense, no, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he is a guy that can run down the field. And if Tyrod Taylor is able to locate him down the field, he's a guy that you throw it up to 50 yards down the field in one-on-one coverage, and he'll go up and make a play for you. So in any event, you look at this Jets team overall in this game, they dominated in all three phases of the game. And so that allowed them to jump out to a massive lead. The turnovers allowed them to have some great field position, and they capitalized off the field position that they got, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal. And that allowed them to jump out to a 34-7 lead. It's been now since cut to 34-21 pending an extra point. But with 2:29 left, if the Bills don't recover another onside kick, it'll be all but impossible for them to mount a comeback in this game. As we'll update the score now after the last touchdown scored by the Jets, or excuse me, the Bills, to make it a little bit more interesting. The Jets have struggled in fourth quarters, and they don't know how to close out games, but it's going to be pretty tough for them to blow this one as they built what seems like an insurmountable lead at 34-7, now cut to 34-21. And really just a shade over a minute and a half. So the Bills have done way more in these last 2 minutes than they have the entire game offensively. But again, circumstances have dictated that the Jets just want to keep everything in front of them at this point. Extra point is good, and it's now 34-21. Jets still up 13. We'll see what happens with this onside kick. Austin Seferian-Jenkins is kicking himself because had he just recovered that onside kick, it'd still be 34-14, and the Bills would have no more timeouts, and this game would be closer to being over. So we'll see what happens over the next 2 minutes and 29 seconds. But let's get to the Bills side of things because I don't think they're going to come back and win this game anyway. Let's start on the offensive side of football because there were opportunities early in this ball game to make some plays and give themselves a chance. They needed to start fast in this game, and they did with the touchdown to match the Jets' touchdown early on. It wasn't on the opening possession. They didn't directly respond, but they did, however, come back and score the very next possession after that. So it was 7-7. They were in a good spot right there, and I want to see how this onside kick goes as we continue. Another high one. This time it's caught by Ardarius Stewart, who should have probably been in for ASJ the last time, but ASJ was on the sidelines this time, and Ardarius Stewart does recover this kick. So Jets have the football. 2:28 remaining, 2 timeouts for the Bills. So 3 runs will put this thing at the 2-minute warning, and a punt would then put the Bills deep in their own territory with less than 2 minutes and no timeout. So in effect, this game is most likely over now. But with that being said, I felt like the Bills had too many mistakes. Penalties were a big problem for them in this game. And they've been a pretty disciplined team up until this point of this game. You haven't seen the Bills beat themselves. That's been very impressive via penalties. You haven't seen them beat themselves via turnovers. And Tyrod Taylor, although he's one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, you haven't really seen him sacked and be under siege like he was tonight. He was harassed from the opening snap. Remember, their first snap was a Jordan Jenkins 12-yard sack on a bootleg. So he was harassed, sacked 7 times in this game. They really struggled to protect. They struggled with penalties. They struggled with turnovers. And all of those things were their undoing in this game offensively. And even when they tried to get something going, you have the Jordan Matthews fumble. Then you have the O'Leary fumble. Those 2 fumbles there stopped any type of comeback by this Bills football team in this game. The Tyrod Taylor fumble really was at the end of the game when they basically were already out of it at 27 or 24-7 at that point. His fumble made it 31-7 as they would score a touchdown 2 or 3 plays later. But in any event, the turnovers were a problem. The penalties were a problem. The pressure on Tyrod Taylor was a problem. And obviously, no running game, a huge problem in this game. And Shady McCoy was not 100% healthy. He made a great run early on the first touchdown drive of the game where he spins out of a tackle and then reverses field and picks up about 12 yards and a first down. But he re-aggravated his groin injury that he came into. And that's the problem with these Thursday night games is that a lot of times guys that aren't really fully healthy from Sunday's game who could have used a full week of recuperation don't fully get to heal up and rest. And they come out, they try to gut it out, but it's just tough on such short rest. And so he struggled to stay in this game, and really they didn't stand a chance on the ground with Shady McCoy. And I talked to a Bills fan earlier in the day or either yesterday that said, while we went out and got KB and that was nice, I really would have preferred that we went out and now the game's over. Jets just got a first down, and if there's not a penalty, that's going to do it, as they'll be able to take 3 knees and end this game. He said, I really would have liked us to go out and get it back. And it didn't even dawn on me at that point because I've been watching the Bills all season, and I said to myself, yikes, after Shady goes out, the best you got is Tolbert? And yeah, the answer is yes. And I said, yeah, they could certainly use a running back. And so, Frank Gore was available. I heard, I think Carlos Hyde was available. Now, again, what are you having to give up to get a guy like Carlos Hyde? I think you could have got Gore for a cold hot ham and cheese sandwich. No bag of chips, no juice box, just a cold hot ham and cheese sandwich that's stuck together that you can't even separate with some nasty mayonnaise on it. I think you could have got Gore for a 6th or 7th round pick from the Colts. But in any event, you didn't make a move at the running back position. And so with Shady being banged up tonight, Tolbert wasn't able to carry the load. And I don't know if it would have mattered behind the offensive line tonight, who just really struggled overall. Was beat to a pulp by that aggressive and very talented Jets defensive line. And so I don't know if it would have made a difference, but Shady McCoy definitely is a difference maker. So I talked about Ezekiel Elliott, BYOB, being your own blocker. Shady McCoy is one of the best in the league at doing that, making guys miss and becoming his own blocker. So he would have made a difference had he been healthy, but he wasn't. And so they just struggled. No run game equals pressure on Tyrod Taylor, which equals sacks on Tyrod Taylor, which equals turnovers, which equals Bills' loss on the offensive side of football. You go to the defense. I felt like the defense wasn't terrible early, and they had a chance to really make a big play. And this was the story of the game. The Jets took advantage of opportunities. The Bills did not. The Jets had a possession early in the game where Josh McCown throws the football right to one of the Bills' corners, Leonard Johnson. Throws it right to him in his hands. Can't get a much easier pick than that. As a matter of fact, he didn't even need to fall down. I think he fell down as a defense mechanism to try to hold on to the ball, and he still dropped it. Had he just caught that in the air, he might have been able to return that for a pick six. It came right to him. It was a bad decision, bad throw by McCown, his only bad decision and throw of the night, and the Bills didn't take advantage of it. And it's those types of mistakes that you have to make teams pay for in this league if you want to win, especially on the road. And dropping that interception, huge. Then you turn it over 3 times yourself. Sudden change of possession defense. You're asking your defense to come out and defend short amount of field, and they weren't able to do that tonight. They gave it up on the ground. Poor tackling night by the Bills. I've watched the Bills all season long. Haven't seen a poor tackling exhibition like this all season from the Bills. They just simply did not have it. No Marcel Darius for the first time this season, and it showed. They struggled in this game, and I think this is a team that we're going to look at moving forward and question, can they get it done on the road? And for Bills fans that have said to me, I don't believe in this team yet. I've seen good starts from the Bills before. I don't trust them. Games like this shake their confidence even further. And I still have nothing but the utmost confidence in this Bills team ability to get it done. I think they're going to be better. This is family business. You know how it goes. Now the game is gone final. Jets get the win 34-21. This is how family business goes. All right. You never know what's going to happen. You can't discount anybody in the division because all these teams know each other. That's the essence and the beauty that is family business. And so the Jets stood up to the test tonight to protect their home turf after the Bills did the same versus this same Jets team in week 1. And so all they did was return the favor, which you got to love when family members step up and take care of home. And so the Jets got it done. I thought the Bills just simply were outplayed tonight. And it seemed like a team that just wasn't prepared to get it done. For the first time this season, the Bills didn't look prepared to win a football game. Even in their losses previous to this one against Cincinnati and Carolina, they looked like they were prepared for those games and they just didn't make enough plays. In this game, the tackling was poor, the penalties were egregious, the turnovers were a mess. This looked like a team, the tackling was absurd. This looked like a team that wasn't prepared to win. They didn't look like a team that was prepared to come out and make enough plays to get it done on a Thursday night against a Jets team that, after winning 3 straight, was reeling and had lost 2 straight. And so this is an opportunity for the Bills to make it 3 straight losses within the division for the Jets after losing to New England and Miami in the last 2 weeks. Instead, they allow the Jets off the hook. Jets get the win, a big win, 34-21 to get to 4-5 on the season. I don't know how many more wins are in store for the Jets this season. If you've listened to me in the past, then this is the last one. It may be. I think they can get somebody else. I think they can sneak another team because they're playing with confidence. I looked at the schedule. I don't see a lot of sneakable wins, but they're good enough defensively, and they're playing with enough confidence offensively that I think they can catch a team slipping on a Sunday. They can get another one at some point in 2017. For the Bills, you lose this game in dominant fashion, and you drop to 5-3, and it's these types of games right here that are going to see you not win this division. You can still make the playoffs as a wild card, but if you have any intentions of taking out the New England Patriots, and you still got them twice, so I don't want to discount you in the AFC East race, but if you have any aspirations of taking down the champs, this is not how you do it. Because the Patriots, they're going to sweep the Jets. They already took care of the hard part, which was winning in New York. It wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, and it was a dub, and they did what they had to do. They went to New York and beat the Jets, or New Jersey, and beat the Jets. You weren't able to do so. So they're going to sweep them. They're probably going to sweep the Dolphins as well. Now, I don't think you've seen the Dolphins at all this season. So you got an opportunity to beat the Dolphins twice. You struggle with the Dolphins struggle with you. And if you continue to do what you do to the Dolphins every year, you should be able to sweep them. They're in all types of disarray. But we'll see. Because that Dolphins team is scrappy and it's family business. You know how it goes. So we'll see what happens there. But in any event, disappointing loss on a short week. You'd have loved to have gotten this win, had the 10 days off, heading into your next contest, and seeing if you would been able to continue to put pressure on the Patriots to have to win. Instead, you lose 34-21 on the road to the Jets and drop to 5-3 on the season. Let's get to your comments. Buffalo pregame says, I don't blame you at all for starting this game before it ended. This game is so disgusting. I did predict the Jets win like you did, but not like this. I didn't either. I didn't project a win like this. I thought the Jets would win this game. This just seemed like the type of game that the Bills would fall in and go on the road and not be able to get it done. But to be down 34-7 at one point in the fourth quarter, I'd be lying to you if I said I saw this one coming. SoFlo Sports says, is this that Bill shit? Nah, this isn't. This is family business. This can happen. You know, this isn't 40-0 like the Dolphins last week to a Ravens team that struggles to score. The Jets have scored points this season. The Jets have been competitive this season. So it's family business. Anything can happen in the division. Buffalo pregame says, the pattern continues. 5-3 in 2008, 2011, 2014, and now 2017. The next two games will make the season. And for Bills fans, this is a familiar story that they've seen all too many times. They've seen this team get off to good starts and fizzle out. And so, but while Buffalo pregame sounds like he's saying to himself, here we go again, Bills fans have seen this. They've been through this. They've lived through this. And that's one thing that you've got to respect about a fan base, something that you can't attest to if you're not a Bills fan. You don't know the pain and the anguish that these fans have been through since 1999, in which their last time making the postseason. And even then, that's not even a good memory because that's the Music City Miracle versus Tennessee. So you want to just wipe all of that away. You want to erase the stigma of being the team with the longest playoff drought. They've been desperate for a playoff appearance for the longest time. And every year, just as he's mentioned, 2008, 2011, 2014, now 2017, they've been 5-3. The previous three times at 5-3, they've missed the postseason. Will this year be any different? I think it's going to be different because I like what they're doing as an organization. I like Sean McDermott. I like the direction that this team is heading in. I like the move to go out and get Kelvin Benjamin. I like the fact that this team has an identity of running the football and playing tough defense and creating turnovers, which they didn't do tonight, which is something that they've done very prolifically this season. I like all of those things, so I like this Bills team. But as a Buffalo pregame stated so eloquently, the next 2 weeks are going to go a long way in determining how serious the Buffalo Bills are in making the postseason this year. Brandon Sullivan says, you and Sean convinced me to switch from the Bills to the Jets. I didn't realize how bad the Bills were on the road until I heard you guys mention it. Good looking out. Maybe I need to stop giving y'all advice. Maybe I need to do that because I'm helping y'all get dubs. But you know what? I've always said, I'm not one of these guys that is greedy. I keep it real, partner. I give to the needy. So I know some of y'all need help. That's what I'm here for, man. I always tell y'all, like Smoke and Jay and some of y'all cats, you need help? I'm here for you, man. Let me help you. I can't want this for you more than you want it for yourself. Let me help you, though. So I'm glad I was able to assist you with making the right decision tonight. Rodney Ray says, dang, I missed Watson discussions. That's my fault for not turning on post notifications. I tried to warn y'all, turn those notifications on, man. It'll save you the pain and anguish of missing out on some healthy discussions that we have here on this channel. Buffalo Pregame says, Raiders destroy Jets, Bills destroy Raiders, Jets destroy Bills. What? Now, there's a caveat there. The Raiders destroyed the Jets in week 2 when the Raiders actually still had confidence in their ability to win football games. If the Raiders played the Jets last week or the week prior, they wouldn't have blown the Jets out. And take it a step further, that game, Jets and Raiders, I believe it was 17-14 at halftime. Jets were in that game, and then they fumble, I want to say, the opening kickoff, and the game went sideways after that. So it wasn't what it appeared to be. And that game was in week 2 when the Raiders were a different football team. In any event, Rodney Ray says, people thought Sheldon Richardson trade was bad, but it really helped this team. There's no defensive drop-off. Tyrod Taylor played well stat-wise, but those sacks, though, not his fault. I agree with you. Sheldon Richardson, to me, he was an anchor, and not in a good way. He was an anchor holding his defense back. With his attitude and his mentality, he needed a change. He needed to go to Seattle. That was a perfect spot for him to land out there with a lot of guys with the same personality as him, a coaching staff that will embrace his way of thinking and allow him to be himself, but also be able to keep him contained from an emotional standpoint. There was a lot of negative publicity for him in New York. It was time for him to move on. And they had so much talent. You know, the drafting of Leonard Williams allowed a guy like Sheldon Richardson to be expendable. So I like the move as well, getting a pick and some compensation for him, you know, because you look at the situation with the Bills, and you give up your 3rd and your 7th round pick. You want to be able to be in a position, and if I'm not mistaken, the Bills traded back with the Chiefs to allow them to come up. So I'm assuming you're going to have the Chiefs' 1st round pick. So you've got a ton of assets. So I love the fact that they're building for the future in Buffalo as well. There's a lot to like about the Bills in their situation. Tyrod Taylor was harassed tonight. His stats actually don't look too bad. I think he was like 28 of 40 for 250 some odd yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But that's those are misleading stats, because a lot of those stats were compiled in garbage time when this game was over and the Jets were playing soft. And also, I took it a step further. Like you said, those sacks were big, and a lot of those sacks were on him. I mean, they were getting beat right off the line. Like Coney Ealy had a couple of sacks right off the line. The Jenkins sacks, one was right off a bootleg, and he was unblocked. And they were expecting him to chase the bait down the line, and he didn't buy it. He stayed outside, kept contained, and got to Tyrod Taylor. But there were times in the pocket where Tyrod didn't cut the football loose and try to dance around and get out, and the Jets did a really good job of staying in their rush lanes, not allowing him to be able to escape out the back door and sack him on a number of occasions throughout the game. Buffalo Pregame says, I know it's garbage time, but I like the effort there at the end. Hope no one gets hurt. I agree. I love the fact that they never quit in this game. That's usually a mark of a good coaching staff, because one of the things that frustrates me with my team is that we quit at the end of games. When we can't win, it doesn't look like we can win the game, which it's not up for you to decide. Like, go out, play this thing out, string this game out, because as you saw with the Jets, mistakes happen. You know, ASJ drops the football on the onside kick. Now you got an opportunity to cut it to a 2-score game. Who's to say that they don't muff the next onside kick and you get it back again? And with two timeouts, the 2-minute warning, and let's say you quick strike them, you're down 6 with a timeout probably still in your back pocket and a 2-minute warning. Hey, we got ourselves a ball game. So don't quit at the end of games. The Redskins seem to do that quite a bit. So I love the effort there as well. Love to see teams play it out to the very end. BE says, game ain't over yet. Yes, it is. And I know some of these comments were made when I told you I'm coming for your ass, BE. Don't try to game ain't over yet me. It's coming for your ass. I already told you. It's over now. You had your fun. I'm coming for your ass. You're going to be looking over your shoulder, and when you turn around, be right in your goddamn face. Close enough so you can smell my goddamn breath. Coming for your ass. Buffalo pregame says Matthews and O'Leary's fumble were some of the craziest fumbles I've seen in the same game. Yeah, they were, especially Matthews' fumble, because generally when you see a guy extend for a first down like that, he generally doesn't lose the football before impact of the ground. Usually he loses the football upon impact with the ground, which the ground can't cause a fumble. So I assumed when he fumbled, that's going to be Bills football. They're going to overturn that, give it back to the Bills. And then when you watch the replay, ball was already moving, so he didn't have a good grasp of the football. So, yeah, it's a shame that that's how it ended. But, you know, you look at the O'Leary fumble, and his fumble was crazy as well. At first, I thought the Jets defender that jumped over him nipped him, you know, with some part of his body, his leg, something. I said, okay, he's probably down. That was my assumption. But then when you go back and watch the replay, obviously, it's amazing that he didn't touch him. He gets up, and they rake at the football, and voila. It's a fumble. Just because a guy is given maximum effort. You hate to see those things happen. That being said, it is what it is. The Mister says, Lou, let's be honest. Do you think America owes the Jets an apology? And this is realistically a middle of the pack type of team. Yeah, I think a lot of people owe the Jets an apology because, like I said at the top of this program, and I even said last week when they lost to the Falcons, I said, this is a much better Jets team than we gave credit to. I was among the vast majority of people that said, man, this Jets team is going to be horrible. Todd Bowles is going to get fired. They're going to win 1-2 games at best. You know, they're going to be one of the laughing stocks of the league. And yeah, we grossly overstated the lack of talent on this team. And again, give credit, infinite amounts of credit to Todd Bowles, because before this season started, it did not look good for him. And I felt bad for him, and so did you, and so did most of you out there, because his quarterback situation was dire, and he had to start Josh McCown, and it just looked like another one of these seasons that was going to go down the toilet for him before it even got underway. And this team has persevered, and after starting the season off 0-3, and it looked like they were going to be the same old Jets, exactly like we anticipated, they reeled off 3 straight victories. As a matter of fact, I think they were 0-2, and then they ran off 3 straight to get to 3-2. And because I think I remember myself saying very definitively, how in the hell are the Jets over 500? It may have been 3-3. I don't quite remember, but in any event, for them to have reeled off 3 straight victories, amazing. Just amazing in itself. Then they lose 2 straight, and you're thinking, okay, here they go. And I kind of saw this one coming. Not the way that it turned out in terms of the final score and the discrepancy between the score at one point 34-7 in this game. But I did see the Jets finding a way to win this game, so that wasn't a surprise. Yeah, I think a lot of people owe them an apology. And yes, they are I won't say they're a middle-of-the-pack team, because middle-of-the-pack teams suggest they're going to win 6, 7, 8 games, which the vast majority of the league is going to do. They're not going to win that many games. If they get 1 more, I'd be impressed. If they get to 5. I don't see them getting 6, 7, or 8 wins this season, but I could be wrong. We'll see. BK Soldier 2010 says, Watson's injury leaves the door wide open for the Jags to take the division. The door was already wide open for the Jags. The Jags didn't look at the Texans as their chief threat. If I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, the team that scared me the most was the Tennessee Titans. You already went to Houston and beat the Houston Texans. So with or without Watson, I know that was the first time Watson saw action as he came in after halftime of that game, but you took it to those boys, 29-7 in week 1. You have a home game left with the Houston Texans. You've already lost to the Tennessee Titans at home if you're Jacksonville. So that was a team that should scare you, not Houston. Houston was under 500. Meanwhile, the Titans and the Jags are both knotted up at 3-3. I think both of those teams went into their byes at 3-3. So they had an opportunity, did the Texans, to compete. I didn't think it was going to be enough when it was all said and done, but the door was already wide open for the Jags. They just got to be a little bit more consistent. The Mister says, Lou, I'm with you. I think Sean McVay and Todd McBowles could both get Coach of the Year. I don't think they're going to get Coach of the Year. McVay definitely in that discussion. Bowles won't be. But I've said this on a number of occasions. He deserves at least one first place vote. Just one. No, he's not going to win, nor should he. But he deserves the first place vote for what he's done. If they don't win another game, I still think Todd Bowles, and they're going to continue to be competitive. Even if they don't win any more games, they're going to be in ball games. They're going to scare the hell out of some teams, and they may jump up and bite a team or two when it's all said and done. In any event, with the way this season was set up for him to fail, he deserves a first place vote for Coach of the Year. Buffalo pregame says, fun fact, Tom Brady has never been a wild card. It's always been division or bust for them. Yeah, the 1 year he gets injured, they go 11-5 and miss the playoffs with Matt Cassell. And there was another season they missed out. Well, that was it. That was the only season. There was another season in there, though. That was the season the Dolphins won the division. There was actually a season in there, I believe, where the Jets with Chad Pennington won the division. I may be going too far back there. But I firmly believe there was a season in there with Chad Pennington and the Jets winning the AFC East and Brady and his guys totally missing out on the playoffs. They're spoiled in New England. This is what they do. They win divisions. John Perez says, missed the game, but do you see the Bills bouncing back? Plus, I heard about Deshaun Watson getting hurt on my way to work today. Texans say goodbye to their playoff hopes now. To answer your first question, yes, I do see the Bills bouncing back. This is a resilient team. I like the coaching staff. I like the direction of the organization. I like the players that they have. I like the mindset of this football team. Even when they were getting blows in this game, they never gave up. And that's a testament to their coaching staff and the mindset that they've instilled in these players. I like the direction the Bills are going in. They're going to bounce back, in my estimation. Got to play better on the road, though. That's been their Achilles heel this season. Got to play much better on the road if they expect to make the postseason. That being said, the Texans, I won't say they can kiss goodbye to their playoff hopes, but their playoff hopes have diminished greatly because of the injury. If let's say their percentage of winning the division of the three teams that have a realistic shot in Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Houston, let's say out of those three teams, Houston's percentage was 20%, and Tennessee's was 45%, and Jacksonville's was 35%. Right? That would put you at 80%, and the Texans had 20%. And it really was probably a little higher than that. The pie was probably split up more along the lines of 40, 30, 30, something along those lines. But in any event, or 40, 35, 25. But from that point, this injury probably takes them down to like a 5 to 10% chance now. So, yeah, I don't think it totally dismisses them, but it does really make it a lot harder for them to win the division for sure. Cloud says, did Matthews play on the outside? He's very inconsistent on the outside. They move him all around, outside, inside. He's been good for the Bills when he's been healthy. He's been one of the lone bright spots at the receiver position. Zay Jones was coming on before the injury. I hate to see that because he was starting to assert himself. I thought he had a really quality game last week at home. Did Zay Jones, and then he followed that up with like 3 or 4 catches before the hyperextension. And so that's frustrating to see because he's going to miss some time with that injury. But Matthews has been solid. Deontay Thompson has been solid too. And now you're going to add Kelvin Benjamin to the mix, and I think that's really going to help this offense. John Perez says, what are your thoughts on Jamal Adams so far since he stepped on an NFL field? Saw some of him early in the season. He is a game changer. I love him. I love his energy. I loved him coming out of LSU because he plays the game with a zest that you either have or you don't. You either love the game and you play it with a ferocious temperament, or you just play the game. He plays the game with a ferocious temperament that allows him to be physical, to always be around the ball. When things happen with the football, 85 to 90% of the time, number 33 is going to be around the mix. And on the fumble, guess who recovered the fumble of O'Leary? Yeah, you guessed it. Jamal Adams. He's just around the football. You know, when things happen, he's usually around. And I just love his physicality. I love his athleticism. And I love the zest that he has for the game of football. He's definitely a game changer. I love both of their safeties. Marcus May was the one that forced the fumble of Nick O'Leary and recovered. The two safeties, rookie safeties, teamed up there for a strip and recovery of a key fumble in this game. So I like both of their safeties. John Perez says, should Todd Bowles be a Coach of the Year candidate? I also have Doug Peterson from Philly along with McDermott and Mike Zimmer in Minnesota. Don't forget Sean McVay in Los Angeles as another candidate for Coach of the Year. No, Bowles isn't going to be in it when it's all said and done. As of right now, yeah, he's a candidate because no one saw this Jets team having 4 wins at this point of the season. But we're going to say 4 weeks or 5 weeks from now, damn, the Jets still got 4 wins on the season. So, no, he's not going to win Coach of the Year. But I've said it before, and I'll continue to say this till my face turns blue. He deserves a first-place vote from someone because he did a magnificent job to just get this team to 4 wins this early in the season. John Perez says, are you surprised Christian Hackenberg still hasn't gotten an opportunity to play yet? Obviously, that speaks volumes as to how disappointing he's been in practice and what they see from him on a day-to-day basis. I told you I wasn't a Christian Hackenberg guy. You go back and you watch my breakdown of him. I was not a fan of him because he developed a ton of bad habits at Penn State with that porous offensive line, all the sanctions that rained down on that team after the Jerry Sandusky whole ordeal and fiasco and debacle. It really hurt them scholarship-wise. The level of talent on that team diminished greatly from his first year under Bill O'Brien to the following years under God damn it, I can't think of the coach's name with the bald-headed coach with the glasses. In any event, his level of play diminished. He wasn't the same quarterback that we saw in his freshman year that was the most highly sought-after high school recruit of his class. He just, James Franklin is his name. He didn't look like the same guy. He developed bad footwork, throwing off his back foot, bad decision-making. There was so much that he had to clean up. I wasn't a fan. So, no, it doesn't surprise me. I thought he would have gotten a shot by now, but the fact that they continued to give the ex-Baylor product opportunity after opportunity instead of Hack, that let me know all I needed to know, that they're not in love with Christian Hackenberg's game and they don't see the development that they need to see from him to put him on the field. Buffalo pregame says, 2002, Brady went 9-7 and missed the playoffs. Jets took the division. I knew it. I wasn't going crazy. This here head is an encyclopedia of football that goes back a long ways. And I remember the Jets with Chad Pennington winning that division. And I remember the other time they lost the division was in 2008, I believe, when Brady tore his ACL. I think it was 2008. And after he tore his ACL, they went 11-5. Dolphins won the division that year. I remember Ted Ginn Jr., Teddy Ballgame, had a hell of a season. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Chad Pennington again. And this time he's with the Dolphins. Yeah, I think it was Chad Pennington both times, assassinating Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Moving right along. Brandon Sullivan says, if the Jets finish with an 8-8 record, then Bowles should win Coach of the Year. No one saw an 8-8 record. Then I think he should be in serious consideration. Generally, Coach of the Year goes to a team with a tremendous season and an outstanding record, like a Doug Peterson, like a Sean McVay, if they continue on the path that they're on, One of those coaches will get it most likely, but he'll definitely be in a discussion if they go 8-8 for sure. All right, so that's all the comments tonight. And Jets take it 34-21. Really impressive performance all the way around for the Jets. Offense, defense, special teams, they dominated the game tonight. Bills simply didn't show up prepared to win. That's my biggest takeaway, is that they dropped an interception. They fumbled the football 3 times. Tyrod Taylor was sacked 7 times. There were 9 or 10 penalties on the Bills in this game. They fumbled the football 3 times. You can't make that. It was a comedy of errors. You can't make the type of mistakes the Bills made, and the tackling may have been the worst I've seen of any team, not just the Bills, any team this season. So you can't make the type of mistakes the Bills made tonight and expect to win on the road against a family member. It just doesn't work that way. Despite the Jets having struggled coming into this game, it just doesn't work that way in this league. You want to win, especially on the road. You have to put your best foot forward. The Bills did anything but in this football game. Credit to the Jets. They came out, they dominated on the ground, took it to Tyrod Taylor and that Bills offense, created turnover opportunities, took advantage of those opportunities, and when they couldn't move the football down the field, they pinned the Bills deep in their own territory, and the defense was able to get stops. So that's going to do it for Bills, Jets. Bills drop to 5-3 with the loss. Jets move to 4-5 with the win. 34-21 over the Bills. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Guess I'll see you guys hopefully sometime this weekend, because I've got to drop that Patreon video this weekend. No excuses, none whatsoever. It's going to get done this weekend, and hopefully I'll have that out at some point before Sunday. But in any event, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the college football. Enjoy basketball, NBA basketball, maybe college basketball. That's starting to rev up here too. So a lot of things to look forward to. Long weekend for me. I'm going to enjoy every second of it. And then we'll come back, reconvene here on Sunday, and start breaking these games down in week number 9 of the National Football League. Until then, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. You enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy the rest of your weekend, as will I. And we'll be back here on Sunday. Have a good one. Take care. Thanks for joining me again.